East and West learning connections.
Helps people of different cultures break barriers and connect with each other.
Welcome to our June session. And this is the last session before summer. I hope you have been enjoying your summer so far. We don't have a long summer here in Canada. And I had to miss last month's practice session, but I hope many of you were able to join and have continued practicing afterward. Persuasion is an important skill, and in many ways, I feel like we're all salespeople. I'm trying to convince my daughter doing stuff every day. And I hope these sessions are helping all of us becoming a little more effective and confident in doing that. So our topic today is how to communicate uncertainty and still sound confident. I'm sure a lot of you have been in situations where you have to speak to things that are still developing or the results are not sure, not certain yet. What is your go-to strategy? Do you communicate cautiously so you're not on the hook if things turn out differently? Or do you speak more confidently and adjust your message later if circumstances change? I have to admit, I used to be very safe and try to cover myself. But over time, though, I'm becoming a bit more comfortable giving more concrete updates when I have, let's say, 70% confidence. But people have been telling me that you need to lower that percentage even more. Like, I guess, what's your comfort level? And that would be the question. For those of you who joined us the first time, I think I see a few new names. This series has been supported over the years by East and West Learning Connections. We are an organization, not-for-profit organization focused on cross-cultural learning, which I'm grateful to be part of. And this year, we are also very fortunate to be supported by the National Communication Coaching Association of Canada, which Coach Ric serves as an executive director. Thank you all for being part of us and the community. Just a final note, like I mentioned, this is the final session before summer, so we'll take a break in July and August, but we will restart in September. So as always, we'd love to hear about your communication challenges and questions you encounter in your day-to-day work. And so we can design sessions that will help you. So that's it. And let's get started. I'll get Coach Ric, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Ellen. That was a great introduction. Let me just share my screen so we can quickly find my, not PowerPoint, but Keynote, just because I'm using a Mac. So let's take a look here. We are looking at this business communications workshop series. And as Ellen said, the strategies for communicating uncertainty with confidence is our title. And I'm going to start the conversation, but I hope that you guys also have your opinions and can share your ideas as well. Just a quick note, my name is Ric, and I'm the Executive Director of NCCA Canada, a coach there as well. I did a TEDx, and in 2016, I'm a former ESL teacher. I run a company called 3B Communications, which is a for-profit communication coaching and training company. I also work with a Canadian charity called Yeti, which trains entrepreneurs, for-profit and non-profit space here and abroad. And I am fortunate enough to be a global guru the last several years, different rankings for top 30. And that's just a reflection of maybe the work that I'm doing and I'm putting out there in this space of communication coaching in Canada. So for that, I am grateful. My ideas come from my background in sociology, psychology, teaching English, and later got my MBA as well and working with entrepreneurs. So it's kind of a combination of social studies and business. For those of you that don't know NCCA too much, we're a nonprofit and we're trying to bring together Canadian communication coaches and trainers, but also mix them with small business owners and entrepreneurs, people that need each other. we want to promote professional standards and designation. So therefore, we offer professional development and networking events, and we offer workshops and webinars, which are open to anyone. They're free or low cost because we are a nonprofit. And we also offer certification and designation for coaches as well. If you're interested, you may go to our events page and or social media, and you may find something that strikes your fancy. So without further ado, today's topic is communicating uncertainty with confidence, and I just want to briefly look at a few of these topics you can see here. This is our agenda for today. Fears of uncertainty, what is confidence, and looking at the confidence role model, and practice/Q&A, depending on your interest and our time. So we see a picture of a young woman here, and I think we're already getting a feeling of maybe not total confidence. And what is the fear about uncertainty? So I have jumped ahead and assumed that the key issue with uncertainty is there's a fear, underlying fear. This is my assumption. It doesn't mean that every single situation is this, but I believe that that is an underlying key factor when it comes to feelings of uncertainty at work or, of course, otherwise. So what I want to do is first look at what are your fears about uncertainty? You, the employee in this case, the presenter, the someone invited to the boardroom to discuss some information. What is your fear about uncertainty? What makes you feel uncertain? What puts you in the position of uncertainty? And what's the fear? So this is my question. It's a psychological question. And I think I just want to examine this first. So if you have an idea of kind of where I'm going with this, and you want to chime in by either putting something in the chat, which Ellen is going to monitor for us, or speaking up, that's great. So I'll give you just a second if you may want to identify what's let's say the speaker's fear connected to uncertainty at work. What's the fear they might have or you might have?
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
So when I think of uncertainty, I do not have fear, but there are lots of situations you do not really know what's gonna happen or whether the plan is gonna work. So you do like initiatives, projects. So there are a lot of uncertainties there. But I found out some people they can still tell people their plan or like with like a certainty, like so confident, like make people believe
Mhm.
this is gonna happen. Like I, I would on the side of kind of telling people this is tentative or this is you know uh the truth, I would say.
Mhm.
But that might not when you want to sell your project to people, you might want to look more confident. So
Mhm.
that's my my question, like how do you do that? I found
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
if I want to tell people, say 80%, if I am 80%, or maybe even 85%, I tell people 80%. But some people they can tell people 100 or 120% when they only have like 70%, you know?
Right, right.
That's yeah. That's my question for you. How do you do that? You know, sometimes you need to sell your project.
Right, right. Very good question. We're getting to the confidence side of this
Okay.
presentation. We're not there yet. Different people have different levels of overall confidence or situation-specific confidence, meaning that their answers might change depending on the scenario, and that's pretty normal. There are some people that are extremists in their confidence, where everything is 100% confidence or zero confidence almost, it seems like. There is also cultural training that we've talked about many times, where some cultures might be trained to either act very confident when they're not, or oppositely, to be modest and act shy when they're not. So there's some different layers that we may see it in the workforce, especially in a multicultural Canada. Um, when we have a genuine fear So let's talk about someone who genuinely is a bit nervous. I mean, I use the word fear. We can use nervous if you like. What might that be for someone? And so just to get the ball rolling, the person might fear rejection of themselves or their idea. They might feel not good enough compared to their colleagues or teammates, whatever the scenario. They might even feel that their job is at risk, whether a specific role or whether their actual job at the company. And so there might be trust issues where they're not trusting themselves or they're worried about others not trusting them. Like if I do a bad job here, they won't trust me again. Or if I'm not whatever they're expecting me to do, if I can't live up to that, then it's going to be a big issue. So this is what I mean by some psychology that may affect people when they have a situation where they're not sure, they're uncertain, and then perhaps their mind starts thinking about these other points, going, well, what could happen if this continues? So therefore, that might lead them to decide what to say, right? And as you said, Yang, some people will go extreme one way or another. Some people are honest. Some people are hiding what they feel needs to be hidden, etc. So this is what I find interesting as a person with a background in sociology and psychology. I always like to think about kind of your average human, myself included, what might be underlying our actions, because the emotions do tend to drive us in our decisions. So what is the fear about uncertainty? It tends to be these things. If you have any others, anyone, Ellen, if you want to add any, or anyone else, please add if I've missed one, but these are some of the ones I think about.
I think, yeah, mine is pretty close to this, maybe close to not good enough. Um, it's like I think I have the image of being able to deliver.
Hmm.
So when I have a project, I know there are certain things that I don't have full control, and then it may um, turn out to be the way I expect it to be. And then I kind of I don't want to set up expectation with others to say, okay, we're launching this in July, but then it turned out one of the part didn't work out. We have to push it to August. And then I feel like, okay, my kind of image is not as perfect as what I would like it to be.
Right.
So I guess similar is it's a fear or anxiety that
Mhm.
um I have at
I,
times. Yeah.
I think also one of the key words you mentioned that I did not put here is control, right? I did not add that, but I
Mhm.
think that is a word we can add is who has control and what percentage of control. And if I don't have all the control, that might also increase my anxiety, my ability to not be certain because I just don't have the control. Versus if I have a lot of control, I might feel I can manage that better. So that's another good word we can add is control. So now we go to the flip side here. We've talked about your uncertainty. Let's talk about theirs. Theirs being the people with power, the boss, the C-suite, the people you're pitching to, even the customer in some scenarios, whatever it might be. What would be, but I tend to think about this scenario in terms of management hierarchy, where we are presenting something to the manager or our boss is telling us to do something and we're reacting. I tended to think of that scenario. So what would be their anxiety, them being the boss or the people in control, the people in power? What would be their anxiety? We have to think about that. Remember, they're giving us some sort of assignment and we have our own uncertainty, but they have their uncertainty as well. So what's their uncertainty? Anyone? I think I got your brains working today. Let me help. There's a company reputation involved, right? You are a reflection of the company, but you're also a reflection of themselves, meaning you reflect that department or even themselves personally. If they are the one who said, you can do it, or you will do it, or I'm going to suggest Jane do this, and Jane doesn't perform, then they may feel it's a personal reflection of themselves and their judgment. And the last one is they, of course, may feel responsible for any outcome that happens, even if it's not 100% the truth, but they may feel kind of like almost like the captain of the ship is responsible for all the people on the ship, kind of that idea. So that can increase their uncertainty as well. And we could also add, other things like trust and control. So again, I just wanted to give this word uncertainty a little bit of a broad viewpoint here and say that there is some psychology with yourself, with the other people involved, the people assigning things to you, the people asking you to present in front of others. There's uncertainty. And we're trying to build trust, and some managers are better and some are micromanagers and all that stuff, and that's a different topic. But that does play on our confidence. That does play on our confidence about whether we can handle the uncertainty of the situation. Let's continue. When we look at confidence, and we could talk for hours about confidence, but here's sort of what I want to discuss a little bit today is how do we get it? Right? Is it magic? Are we born with it? All that whole story. I think that people might be born with a certain amount of confidence. It might be called something else, but I think that there is some confidence that people may be born with. But I think that for the most part, it's learned behavior. I think we learn it through our primary socialization, i.e., our immediate family, how we're brought up and how they act, and then a secondary socialization, i.e., school and things like that, how we're treated at school or how we're act at school or the education system. And then later on in life, life will give you wins and losses. And depending on how you handle wins and losses, that will affect your confidence. So speaking of that, I wanted to do something very simple, which is what I call a confidence-competence cycle, or flip side of a coin, or whatever you want to call it. Cycle of gaining confidence through competency. The way I see it, and I borrowed this from Tony Robbins. Long time ago, I saw him speak, and I really thought this was really interesting. So I borrowed it. Is we kind of start with the potential of the action or the idea. Does it have potential? Do I believe this idea has potential? And that leads to some actions about that. And the actions, of course, have results. And based on the results, you'll have new or upgraded attitude and belief. So for example, let's say that I want to learn to ride a horse. So I think to myself, first of all, do I have potential to ride a horse? Well, yes, I'm still healthy. There's horse farms around. I have an idea in my head of what it's like. Okay, I'm going to research it a bit. So I research it. I find that there's one locally. I find the price is not too bad. I find that people my age or my experience do this all the time. So my market research gives me confidence. Okay, I can do it. I'm going to sign up and I'm going to try. And then I go to my first lesson and it works out. I don't fall off. I don't get hurt. The horse and I get along. And so the results of that are pretty positive. So now my attitude and belief is reshaped, because now when someone asks me, can you ride a horse? I'm like, yeah, I got this, man. I mean, I still got to learn, but yeah, much easier than I thought, or whatever. And that continues. So it's a simple way of saying that our confidence and our competency are connected. The more competent I am at something, the more confident I am at that thing. And the opposite, the more confident I am at the thing, the more my competency will rise, because I challenge and I push and I grow. We can sometimes get 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean, you're going to, let's say, fall off the horse once in a while. But in general, this is how confidence would work, is that you build your confidence through competency and you build your competency through confidence. And so that's why they're very, very important to realize that. So all of us should realize that whether you're giving presentations, whether you're speaking in English as a second language, or whether you're presenting in front of the big board, being an entrepreneur, whatever it might be, we should consider that all of us have some level of confidence in general at different aspects of our life. And that when we're on to new things, we have to kind of borrow some confidence from what we already have from something else, something similar. And things like I said, market research, that's a businessy term, but even something like quote unquote market research can give us confidence, meaning researching, or let's say Googling something before we do it. Something as simple as that can somehow raise our confidence, because our brain finds the pattern. Oh, yes, I'm reading what it's like to do this thing, and I think I can do it because I've done something similar. Okay. For example, you've got to do some sort of a play. You're going to join the adult theater group, and you're like, okay, I haven't done this for a long time, but I remember I did it in high school, and I think I got a B+ in theater arts. So now suddenly I'm connecting something from the past that's giving me a feeling of some level of competency, which gives me some level of confidence to try something new-ish, right? So it's not a guaranteed 100%. It's more like I'm pulling something from my life, from my memory, from my experience to give me some confidence or to raise confidence in the new thing. And this is what the brain will do. And I want you all to not stop your brain from doing that. Don't interfere and cut off your brain. Oh, well, no, I can't do that. Oh, that was a long time ago. Oh, no, but don't do that, because your brain is trying to build your confidence and through competency. Your brain is trying to connect and give you reasons why this will work, why you can do. And so that's why we have this kind of attitude and belief as the final thing, because there are some people that are, just confident in everything they do. And we sometimes wonder, wow, how can you be so confident all the time? You've never done this before. How can you be so confident? And the answer really is that maybe they didn't do that thing before, but they've done something similar, at least in their mind. In their mind, they were somehow able to bring things to their center of the universe, say, I've done something similar. And there are people like that. There are people that the answer is yes, then they think about it, right? Like people say, can you? Yes, right? There are people the opposite as well. But this is what we're looking at today is having some confidence so that when you're at work or in business in general, you have a feeling of, yes, I can. You have a feeling of, yeah, this will work out. I can sort of commit to this and then figure it out and build this. And that I can trust myself and I can trust that it's not going to backfire and I'm not going to lose my career, because that type of thinking will stop you from doing it. So this is something I wanted to look at today. Does anybody have any comments or questions about this?
Anyone? I have one question that I suspect you will cover it later, but again, this cycle makes sense to me, but then what if at one point I was trying to do something and then I failed? Like, how do I avoid like being like seeing my failure that stopped me from continuing doing this cycle? Because
Yeah,
if
it's a real question, and failure will also sometimes inhibit us from being brave enough to try again, or maybe we try the second time but we won't try the third time, or we may, if once again, if we have some other things involved making us feel that there's less confidence that we need, then we're so unsure that when we try it, then the littlest thing can feel like a big failure. So there's no magic pill for either side. There is nothing that we can just suddenly be confident. What we have to do.
That's good. Do you have coffee? Excellent. Yeah. Thank you.
What we're going to have to do is try to focus on why we believe we can do this. Not saying perfect 100%, but what else have I done in my life, experience that's connected to this directly or indirectly, that I should build upon to convince myself that I can do this. You see what I'm saying? So, and if you have a failure, it's going to affect anybody. It's going to affect them. But once again, we have this expression of, if you fall off the horse, get back on the horse and try again. That's part of that attitude, that overall attitude of it's okay to fail. I give myself permission to fail, right? That's also part of the equation, is the overall confidence of a person to say, it's okay, I don't have to be perfect. Sometimes I'm going to fail, but I'm going to get back on the horse. And what teaches them that? Life, right? The same thing. It's this overall feeling of, in general, do you believe in yourself? In general, do you believe that even with hiccups, you'll be okay? In general, that's what will get you through everything. If it's the opposite, where you only focus on the negatives, you only focus on the quote unquote failures, that's going to be, you'll see people like that. That's very difficult for them, because they tend to assume that something bad will happen or the worst will happen before they even start, right? And that's a much deeper psychological issue to deal with, and maybe they need help to deal with that as well. So what we're talking about is, in general, you're competent, you've got a job, you're being employed, obviously you're good enough and all that stuff. We're talking about making sure you continue to grow, get opportunities, take charge sometimes, be active, not passive, accept new challenges, and have an overall confidence that you'll be just fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you'll be just fine. Because why? Because in life, your skills, education, experience, you know that you're going to be fine. And that's the confidence that rides you through that uncertainty. And then we get back to this question of uncertainty. Some people might say, yes, it'll be done, and they're not really sure if it'll be done by that deadline. Other people are honest, as Yang said, well, I'm 80% sure it'll be done by the deadline. I'll let you know. And that's also confidence to be honest and say, I'm not going to lie to you. It's 80%. That's where we're at. The confidence is not only in their abilities, but also the trust they're not going to get fired, right? That's also part of that. That's why we looked at the psychology before. So we do want to build that sense of how do we communicate. It's better to be confident at work. We don't want to be foolish. We don't want to lie, but it's better to be confident. We give everyone else a sense of confidence and to believe that we can make it happen. So you will find people give very confident answers, and they get attention for that. They get, I don't want to say promoted for that. That's a little bit too direct, but they part of growing up the corporate ladder is being able to speak out, being able to handle pressure, being able to commit to things, being able to prove more or less you can do things. So that is all part of that career growth as well. One thing we can do, so when a long time ago, 2016, I did a TED Talk, and I was a good enough speaker, and had some teaching in my background. I was comfortable in crowds. That wasn't a problem, but I just thought, well, this is a different thing. How do I do a TED Talk? And at that time in 2016, there was a lot of pressure, I think, it wasn't as common as it is now, and there's pressure and all that stuff. So what I did, one of the things I did was I went to, at that time, Udemy online training, and there was an online course by the founder of TED. His name was Chris Anderson, I believe. And I have no idea if this course exists. It was a long time ago, but I actually went, and I think I paid like $20 for it. Like Udemy is not very expensive. And I did this course, online course by the founder of TED Talks, Chris Anderson. And in it, he talks about his own experience and also the formulas and kind of some hints. And that's what I did. So that gave me extra confidence to feel that my TED Talk's going to be just fine. Not perfect, not in it, but fine, good. Now, was I nervous the day? I was. I'll be honest with you. I was nervous. There's other things too. I felt the organizer didn't organize it very well. That increased my nervousness. I was the first speaker. That increased my nervousness. So there's a few technical issues. So all of that combined also raised my nerves. But in the end, I did it. I was able to go and I was able to present and I was able to speak calmly and go forward. So that's kind of what I think about too, is that we have to look at how can we be confident and how can we deal with the hiccups in life and still say it's okay because I've prepared. It's okay, this technical issue. It's okay, this, I'm okay. I'll be fine. That's what's going to lead us through those moments. So for the 3V exercises, I would say that what we should do is say verbally, what should I say that sounds confident or what should I not say to sound confident? So forget about the TED Talk. Let's talk about you have to present at work. Let's say you're pitching to a client. Let's say you're pitching your business venture as an entrepreneur, whatever it might be. You literally can sort of look through your script or your notes if you're preparing for something like that, and you can say, like, what would sound confident here and what would not sound so confident, so I better take that out. Now, obviously, it's good if you can do this without notes. It's good if you just have that in you to turn the switch and now I'm speaking and I'm going to make sure I sound confidently and speak confidently. But if not, or even as preparing, you can think to yourself verbally, what should I say or not say? For example, if you're talking about these project management type of things at work, do people want to hear, I'm not sure, maybe? Or do they want to hear, yes, I can, yes, it'll be done, we can make that deadline? The answer is the second. So that's just a quick example of you have choices. You can say, I'm not sure. You can say, don't ask me now. You can say, I've got to talk to 3 other people. That might be true. Or you could say, yes, I believe this will be no problem at all. I'll confirm with you on Friday, but the way we're seeing it now, yes, no problem. So the way I've said that, I'm not lying, because remember, I never encourage people to lie. That's not my goal. But what I'm doing is I'm presenting confidence so that I feel I can do it. I'm giving them the feeling, and I also believe I can. Don't forget that. So that I can go back and I can talk to a couple of people in the meantime and then come back and report. So it's a difference between saying, like, don't ask me now, I don't know what versus, yes, I'm sure that's going to be fine. Let me just double check with you, but should be no problem. So just trying to find the right words and phrases will be useful for you. Now, once again, if you have time to present, let's say, a presentation, you can really work on this. You can really decide what words or phrases you want to use or not use. But even on the fly conversation, you may think about what words. to say or not say. Now, modals are interesting. Modals being would, could, should, must. Those words are interesting because technically speaking, we should say things like I will, I am, we must, and avoid things like could, should. Because could, should is kind of like, would is like 60, 70%. However, I believe in normal speech, those words are going to come out. So as long as they sound confident, that's going to be better than not sounding confident, which brings us to our second V. Vocally, how to sound confident or how not to sound confident, and we're going to avoid that second part. So once again, forgetting about the specific words, we ask ourselves, what can I do with my voice that sounds confident for this upcoming meeting or presentation, whatever it might be? Let me think about someone I know. Maybe I can borrow their voice, so to speak. What do I think sounds like a confident voice, and what makes it confident to me, and maybe I can pick that up. So once again, if I'm speaking too fast, that's probably not going to sound confident. And if I'm speaking too slow, it's not going to sound confident. So why don't we try to find this medium speed and medium volume? Let's try that as a baseline so that even if I'm nervous, I'm going to breathe a bit to make sure I don't speak too fast. I don't want to sound nervous. I want to sound confident. And as I said before, even if the words don't come out perfectly, like maybe I said should or would, but as long as I vocally sound calm and clear, it's going to really help out, right? Really going to help out the situation. So vocally asking yourself, how should my voice sound? And we can get opinions. We can ask colleagues and friends, and we can get feedback and record ourselves and all those things too. Get a coach, whatever it might be. And the last V is visually. Once again, how to look confidently or how not to look confidently. So again, whether you're sitting in a boardroom, sitting over Zoom or online, whether you're up and presenting for your company, this would all impact, but you can ask yourself, what's going to look good? What's going to look confident, right? So it could be something like the clothes that you wear fits you properly. That's an aspect. The colors match. That's an aspect. The body language, the posture, that's an aspect. How you use your hands, how you use your face, how expressive you are. If you have slides of some kind, how do the slides look? That's a reflection. If you're having a meeting in a boardroom in an office, how's the setup? Does it look inviting? Does it look cold? Does it look professional? All those things. So there are things you can do to prepare your environment, your online environment, your actual environment, or as I said, if you're given a chance, if you know you've got to present some information, you can prepare for that. Verbally, what's a good thing to make sure I say? Vocally, keep myself calm and breathe and don't get too fast or too quiet. Visually, how to make sure I've got good posture, how to make sure I'm presenting things well, whatever I'm going to bring into show. So these are some ways, these three V's, we want to align or synchronize the three V's as best as possible to create a fourth V, which is your vibe, which is how the person feels when they receive information from you. And that's what we're looking for to help with this idea of certainty, right? So you don't have to be 100% certain, but the idea that, yes, we can do that. Yes, this will be done. We're going to do our best. This is going to happen, right? You can trust me is the underlying message. I can trust myself is the underlying message to myself. So we align those three V's and we push that message forward that you present confidently. Now, all three V's are important, but the last two are more important than the first one. So as the old saying goes, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So making sure that your body language and your vocal tone and all that stuff is calm and confident is going to be a plus. Even if you don't say the right words, as I mentioned before, the feeling they're going to get when you speak is much more important. And that will either calm them or raise their anxiety. So when you're practicing or when you're working on this, please consider all three V's. And remember, the nonverbal trumps the verbal every time. Any questions about anything so far where we're at? All good? So like anything, you have to practice it. So when I'm speaking, you're probably like, oh yeah, sounds reasonable. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I get it. But it's always good to practice. And even if you're practicing with friends and stuff, it's still a good chance to practice. So what I would suggest is maybe if you guys want, you can go into breakout rooms. And I mean, I don't want to micromanage. You can do what you want, but either you can discuss these, like what a confidence role model is. And by role model, it could be somebody you know, could be your aunt or uncle, could be somebody famous on TV. It's like, well, I like the body language of that person, I like the voice of that person, I like the words of this person, or just putting it to, or your boss, and you put it together, you kind of discuss what's a good confident way of speaking, of sounding sure. And that's what I'd like you to either discuss or to practice or to go back and forth a bit. So that's what I'd like you to do. Ellen, which one of us is running the breakout rooms today?
That would be great. Yes, yeah, Sheriff has a question about how to measure the success of role model.
Yeah, I don't know. Trial and error. I think that what we do is it's not random, right? Like we're picking someone that we believe either looks or sounds confident, and we're picking that attribute, and we're adding it to our own, or we're getting feedback of our own attribute, and someone's like reinforcing that. So just for a quick example, I always tell the story. Before I did my TED Talk, but this was also before I did my first TV interview. So it's actually much more before my TED Talk. My brother-in-law has an interesting way of smiling but talking clearly. Not everybody can do it. Sometimes people have a beautiful smile and they can't speak clearly. He can do that. He can be engaging and have a great conversation with you and have this big, beautiful smile as he's speaking really clearly. It's just something I noticed a long time ago about him. So it stuck with me. And so whenever I had to do my TV interviews and stuff like this or big talks, I always thought about that because I want to look positive. I don't want to look too serious that I look angry, you know? So I want to be positive and smiling, but I also want to make sure I'm speaking clearly. So that's just a little example of where I took somebody in my circle and I said, I like this. I'm going to add this to my version of a confidence role model. That's it. That's it. So that's what I want you guys to think about. I want you to, whether it's somebody famous, not famous, whether it's one aspect of them or two, just ask yourself what's going to help you be a more confident speaker. And thank you for the question, Sheree. Ellen, you may as well start. We're just going to talk a little bit here. So go ahead and share your thoughts on anything at all.
I was thinking, I was telling Joe that as soon as you said like a model or someone you feel like is confident, a flashback to 4 years ago, I was purchasing school uniforms for my daughter, and there was a kid. I think he's not a high schooler. He's like 13 years old, maybe, a boy. And it struck me that he was so confident, like he was talking to his grandparents because by the age I think he's and you send the message and it just flashed in my mind, why did I feel he was so confident? Because I honestly didn't hear what he was saying. But
Right.
all I can see is that his posture, he's standing really tall, really straight. Like he's not high, he's 13 years old-ish. He's not taller than me, but he feels like he's tall. He's straight, very straight. And then his tone of voice, it's like very calm, very confident. It feels like he's an equal of his parents that he's talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me feel, oh wow, how could this kid so confident like this age?
Yeah.
So and that sort of like a flash, we're like, oh, that there's how 3V works. And
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
first time it clicks. I think my brain doesn't get your tips very quickly. It takes years.
Me too. It takes years for me too.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Ellen. So exactly, it's just an example of how it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and that we get these impressions of people, we get these vibes, these feelings, these je ne sais quoi, as the French might say. But it's okay if you don't know exactly why. But you're either going to like someone or not, or you're going to respect someone or not, or you're going to trust someone or not. And that's a lot of it is to do with the 3 V's, whether they're aligned or not, and especially the nonverbals. So even a kid can sometimes, you know, really impress us with their ability to be, you know, look like they're calm and confident or adultish and all that stuff. And it's interesting. And so what we can do is we can ask ourselves, how can we be better when we've got to show up? And that's it.
Yes, this is Jeffrey.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a very good meeting. I was very short with Karini together. I raised a question about the relationship between confidence and competency. So which one is more important? So some people think, oh, because I'm competent in this domain, so I will be very confident. But other people will say, I am born in nature to be confident, so I will speak up at any situations.
Right.
So which one is best? Because some people they will directly speak up
Right.
at any meeting. Yeah, even they are not expert, so they think I need to control the meeting, so I will be first to speak up. So,
Right.
but from at the other hand, so other people will think these people are wasting the time because they are not competent in this domain. But they, okay, cost a lot of meeting time. They just want to show up. They just want to be remembered by maybe by their supervisors.
Right.
So which one is more important? The confidence and the competence. Yeah.
Right. Good question. So the official answer is they're equal. They're flip side of the same coin. So they're equal. That's the official answer. The unofficial answer is it depends on the scenario, right? So if you're in a scenario that requires confidence, or that people respond better to confidence, or that people need to hear confidence, then confidence is better. And oppositely, if you're in a scenario where competency is the most important thing, then that's better. For example, we're lost on shipwrecked on an island and you know how to make a fire and I don't. Guess what? You're the leader, at least temporarily, because you know how to make a fire and I don't. I can talk about it all I want, but in that issue, in that example, the competency of making a fire is more important. As you rightfully said, in some cultures, and by culture, it doesn't have to be country, it could be work culture, could be industry culture. There's often people that speak loudest get rewarded. But as we know, that's not an international thing. It totally depends. So there can be some sort of confusion or mixed messages going on. But that's the nature of working with other people. That's the nature of multiculturalism and international business, is that we do have to navigate and get used to it. So there'll be times that maybe we will speak up more, and there'll be times we'll speak up less. There'll be times that we put forward our expertise. In Canada, what happens in general is that people that are used to not speaking up and assuming that people will discover their competency get passed over, get looked over. That's the challenge. We can complain about it. We can bitch about it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. That's the reality. It's better to deal with it and say, this is the environment I'm in. What's the best way to do it? If you and I go work in Korea for a month, just for example, and the culture there is to let someone finish their sentence, right? Even if we impatiently want to say something, then that's the culture. And if you and I jump in, we're going to get ostracized. We're going to get in trouble there. But if we let people think and finish their sentence, we're going to get along better. So there's all those different levels, and that makes us a well-rounded, good communicator. So Jeff, the official answer, flip side of a coin. Unofficial answer is situation dependent. Okay, good question.
Yeah, so me and the sheriff, we had a very interesting discussion. On top of what you mentioned, the verbal, visual, and volume, the second one?
Verbal, vocal. Visual.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we also mentioned that be ourselves, be natural is very important. So that's the way to show your confidence, right? However, we had kind of tiny debate is that be yourself could be some misleading to people, right? So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, my opinion is that we're never ourselves. We have many, many masks that we all wear every day, all day. We all do it. If somebody is completely honest, they will be ostracized. And ostracized meaning ostracized. They will be kicked out of society.
That's a word I just learned from you.
Yeah, I'm doing it on purpose. I'm doing it on purpose. I'm teaching vocabulary as
yeah.
So I want to explain this a bit, okay? Let's take a job interview, for example. even a high school student looking for a job, or you just graduated from university looking for a job. If you are completely 100% yourself, meaning you don't prepare, you don't consider, Sharif, exactly, it's a harsh reality, then you will probably have a really low chance of getting that job. But even if you do a little bit of preparation, you'll probably get a job, meaning you wear a nicer shirt and the other guy has a t-shirt on and maybe you get the job because of that as a high school job. You prepared a little bit of information about the company. You researched how to answer Q&A properly. All of these things are you not being you. They're you preparing to be in the interview. When we as humans interact with other people, we sort of mentally gauge psychologically how to interact with that person. Should I defer? Should I take control? Should I we're wearing masks all the time with your family, with your parenting is an example of masking, right? You can't just be yourself. You have to decide as a parent, how to present information, how to negotiate or not with your kids, etc. So there's all these different examples. So that's what I mean by that. I love the feeling that we can be ourselves and that we're confident and we're going to get along in most scenarios. That I agree with that idea. I just think that the truth is we're managing our personas, we're managing our perspectives, we're managing how we show up, we're managing how we present information. And I think that's smart. I think that's what people do. That's what I meant by that. I think that, we have to just understand that we're wearing masks and we're adjusting. Like right now, for example, like I'm me, I'm natural, I'm normal, but of course I thought about having a dress shirt, not a t-shirt today. Of course I thought about having my background up. Of course I think about what to do with my hands and don't speak too fast and don't swear too much. I mean, these are things I consider to present myself well, right? So things like that is me not being 100% naturally me. It's me managing my persona. So that's what I mean by we do have to think about these things and how to present. I want to get to the last page just since we're wrapping up time. I know this is an interesting topic and I'm glad that you guys like it. I think it's a difficult topic to discuss and I think we did a good job today. I just want to remind everyone that if there are any questions, you can certainly ask Ellen or myself, email, etc. LinkedIn, I'm always happy to connect with people. And once again, social media, you can follow us to follow events. In terms of events, even though East and West is not having summer events, but NCCA will be doing a couple webinars with the City of Toronto with their Small Business Enterprise Center. They're free. So if that's something that's interesting to you, you can see them July 15th and 22nd. Topics are similar to what we've done. So getting comfortable and confident with networking and getting good at pitching and presenting ideas. So if that's interesting, by all means, sign up. And City of Toronto has lots of other different webinars about running a business, financials and marketing. And so if you are an entrepreneur or a business leader, you may decide to do that anyway. Last but not least, today, this afternoon at 4:30, I'll be at the Pilot Pub in Toronto with Mark Bowden, who's a body language expert, and we're going to be just picking his brain about some body language and business communications, and then having some beer and food. So I believe if any of you have signed up, I'll see you there. If any of you want to, if you have nothing to do at 4:30 and you're in Toronto, by all means, please do. And we'll see you there. Otherwise, we'll do it the next time. So with that, I want to say thank you very much to everyone and to Ellen and to Yang. It's an honor and a privilege to do these things for you, for East and West Learning Connections. And when we come in the fall, we will get some more topics going. And I have other speakers from NCCA Canada that we can definitely use. So depending on the topic, we can get another speaker in as well, another coach, trainer, and that would be good for your audience as well to get a different perspective from a different trainer. So happy to do that as well in the fall.
For inquiries, please contact info@eawlc.org or visit our website at www.eawlc.org.